He'll empty his pocket, he'll take his keys and his wallets and Ben Chilwell out at full time.
Hello and welcome to episode 23 of the First4LCFC Podcast. An exciting one as myself and Edward Noon, myself being Christian, of course, and Edward Noon are previewing the FA Cup final, which is taking place on Saturday. So, yeah, I mean, it's a unique one. It's not something that we're used to. It's not something that a lot of Leicester City fans are used to. So Edward, how are you? How are you this fine evening?
Oh, it's great here under the lights. It's quite late for us, isn't it? It's 20 past 10, so I think everyone really needs to appreciate the lengths we go to churn out this top caliber content.
Well, it's fair to say you're more of a night owl than I am. I mean, this is not even joking. It's approaching my bedtime, so I mean, I struggle to get my words out at the best of times. So let's see how it goes.
You pronunciate your worms.
I knew you were going to say that. That's classic for those Office UK fans. But nonetheless, it's obviously at the time of recording, we've come off the back of a victory away at Old Trafford, and obviously, well, at the time of recording, Man U have then gone on to lose against Liverpool as well at Old Trafford. So it's not been the best week. What did Man U do before? What happened before the Leicester match as well?
Have you not done your homework?
Oh, no, they beat. No, my bad.
3-1 Aston Villa.
I was having flashbacks because I remember texting you guys at half time saying if Man U lose to Aston Villa, like what are the odds on them losing 2 matches in a row? And then they went and lost 2 matches in a row anyway. But so ultimately, like we're not really going to focus on the Man United. Well, we are a bit, but this is more about the FA Cup final. But win against a weakened Man United team. It's still a statement, isn't it? It's obviously important for us because it's really helped us sort of have one foot in that top 4. I mean, would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I mean, a win's certainly better than a loss.
Or a draw.
Or a draw, but definitely better than a loss. And I found it a weird game, to be honest. Like, the first 15 minutes, it was like one-way traffic. We was completely dominating them, and then we went completely off the boil after that for about half an hour, and then it was like we went from being pretty crappy to just being total domination, like blowing hot and cold, if we want a nice phrase. But yeah, you can only beat who you're against, and we made it probably more hard than it really should be. But 3 points, I've said for the last few weeks. When was even the last time we played well? But it doesn't really matter. We got 3 points against Man U. We got the results against a few other weak teams before that. And yeah, at this stage of the season, give me 3 shit performances and some wins in there, and I'm not complaining.
Well, I mean, obviously, yeah, there's other things. We beat Man United at Old Trafford for the first time in, over 20 years. It's little things like that which ultimately will mean a lot. Will they mean a lot? I mean, in this context of the season, it'll mean a lot. In the record books, it probably won't mean a lot at all. But
shame Jamie's not here. He could have told us about that game. Like, we were only little children then. We wouldn't have understood the magnitude of that, so we're missing out on that sort of historical insight in that result. But yeah, like I say, it's against Man U, who, as much as we like to take the piss, like even if they have had a pretty average few years for them, they're still second and in a European Cup final. So any win against them, especially at their place at this stage of the season, given our recent form and what's actually on the match, great result.
Well, yeah, hard to disagree. But I mean, something that you highlighted is the fact that we did sort of have them on the ropes after that first goal went in, and then I think it is fair to say that it's classic Leicester. Like, we don't make the most of those opportunities, and then ultimately we're made to pay for it, albeit temporarily in this instance, but obviously with one eye, or both eyes if you like, on the cup final. I feel like we won't be afforded that many chances against, since Tuchel's come in, he's certainly made Chelsea a lot tighter, if you like, at the back. So, I do see chances probably being at a premium for us. So, I mean, it's all well and good discussing it now, but how do we sort of turn up on the day and make sure that one or two chances is enough? I mean, it's just one of those things you can't guarantee, isn't it? Everything has to sort of go in the right way, or you need to hope that Chelsea are having a bit of an off day as well. I mean, they have in the past, obviously notably against West Brom, but cup final. I mentioned it in a previous podcast. Like, I hope that we don't sort of almost freeze a little bit on the bigger stage, because I did feel that us and Southampton both, it just didn't seem like we played our natural games in that semi-final. But I know you disagreed with me on that occasion. So what do you think can be different in the final from the semi-final in terms of our performance?
I don't really care about the performance. Like, got to this stage in life.
Would we beat Chelsea if we played as passively as we did against Southampton?
Did you watch Chelsea's last match?
The Arsenal game?
Yeah.
Well, no, to be fair, I didn't. So, but I've obviously listened.
Arsenal had 32% possession and had 2 shots on target. And, obviously you don't want to be playing like that, because against a quality team like Chelsea, like if they turn up and top form and you give them 2/3 of the ball, it's bloodbath. What's that? Blood bleep. Right, it's late. Blood bath territory.
Did they not rotate a bit?
Yeah, well, the manager said, I've seen quotes seem to believe that he's taken responsibility for the results because he thinks he changed his side too much. Maybe he should do the same again at the weekend.
Well, it's a precarious.
Play the reserves.
I mean, Chelsea again. They'd like to think that they're sort of as good as in that top 4, but I mean, it's a gamble, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, Chelsea could end this season not in the Champions League, and obviously through the league, or they could lose in the Champions League final as well. So it was a bit of a weird one when I saw those changes. But obviously the goal they conceded was, you say, unfortunate. It was a bit a freak one, but who knows? I mean, more of that on Saturday, please, if you're going to be playing back passes like that.
Well, do you reckon they'll play Kepa or Mendy?
I don't think they'll be playing Kepa, but again, it was a strange one, wasn't it?
What's Kepa's surname, by the way?
Aretha Balaga.
All right.
But no, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. You don't often see keepers getting sort of rested, if you like, but I don't see that Kepa's going to be making it. If he does come on, he won't want to leave the pitch, will he? So that was the League Cup, though, so it doesn't count. But no, I mean, so we've obviously played Chelsea previously this season. We've got again in the league, but is it fair to say that this is a more favourable FA Cup final opponent than potentially having Man City instead?
Absolutely, Chris.
You seem to have faded out a bit there, Edward.
Yeah, I know. I turned my my speaker up at different angles so I could chomp on some pizza. Yeah, definitely. Over like Man City, let's be honest. I know we beat them early in the season, but they were crap early in the season. When they are even on like half decent form, they have to mess up for you to beat them. They have to like be wasteful, and you don't want to go into it like that. Like Chelsea are much closer. They're still, on paper, better than us in at least half the team, but it's a much more level playing field where, even if we're not on 10 out of 10, we could still get a result. So like, I honestly I understand Chelsea have got the know-how, they've got the quality, class, experience, etc. I'm almost certain they're favourites going into it. And you know what? They probably will win, but I have no fear going into that match. Whereas if it was Man City, it'd just be like, well, FA Cup final, it'll be good fun. Who really cares? Whereas now it's like, we got a real chance. That's how I'm seeing it. What about you?
Well, I'm going to start my monologue with a couple of stats and facts really. So Chelsea and Leicester are set to become the 117th different pairing in the FA Cup's 140th showpiece event. A little stat for you there. It's quite a lot of combinations, which I guess thinking about it doesn't really surprise me. But again, if Jamie was here, he'd know this because he's just a nerd. But when was the last time?
Or because it was ages ago.
Yeah, no, I misread the stat, to be fair, so I'm not going to even ask you
it's
that.
It's not as impressive as
the last time the final was played before the league season ended was going to be my question. Was actually only in 2012, 2013, and that's actually when Wigan beat Man City and obviously got relegated the same season. So
wouldn't happen these days. Would not happen these days, that result.
Relegated, but you're asking me, are Chelsea more of a favourable opponent? Yes, but I still think I think Chelsea and Man City, I think earlier in the season we had a debate, and I think we actually said that Leicester probably had the best squad depth behind Man City, but I think
Did we?
Well, I do think that we was all in agreement.
I wouldn't have been surprised if we said that, but it's probably not true.
It's not true, is it? You look at Chelsea's squad even just one team. There's probably a couple of other teams could debate about it, but I think the fact Chelsea, what I always do and what you always joke about is I play a five-a-side game with the benches, don't I? So the team lineups come out, and you always text saying who'd win the five-a-side game, and my point being is that a good team with good squad depth will have a better five-a-side team, and I think that Chelsea will have a good bench, meaning that they can bring fresh legs on. And I think an element of Chelsea's game is that they do strike teams on the counter attack and they do break with pace. Whilst you've got Werner, who he's probably going to score now with what I'm about to say, but he's not blessed in front of goal, or at least he hasn't been this season for Chelsea. But he does still pose a threat in stretching the game out, and I do find him more dangerous sort of on the wing. And if you got someone like Ziyech or even their wide men from the back, if Chilwell plays or if James, who had an incredible game, last week, plays, I think that's where their threats lie.
Mate, even if they've got these attacking fullbacks or wing backs, you forget we have Mark Albrighton out wide. He will marshal him. He will pocket him. He will empty his pocket. He will take his keys and his wallets and Ben Chilwell out at full time.
Ed's not the biggest fan of Mark Albrighton, needless to say. But
I tell you what, we said he had like 2 good matches in a row about a month ago. No, and they were really good sub performances.
Do you not see him starting on Saturday?
If he does, I think it would be quite a defensive move. I think you just got to play your best team. Like, well, it actually depends what's going on with Evans as well, doesn't it? Like, at least according to the screen I've got in front of me, it says we played 4-4-2 the other day, and I think the commentators were saying there was sort of depending on whether we were attacking or defending what formation we were playing. But like, obviously, if Evans is fit, we'll play 3 at the back.
Well, the Evans thing's a whole debate in itself. I mean, you are essentially, well, I'd imagine, I'm no physiotherapist, but running the risk of him starting and not even completing a half of football, or because if he was a midfielder or an attacking player in any sense, you could understand him starting on the bench, but I don't really see a situation where you'd start Evans on the bench and sort of bring him on. I mean, yeah, you do if you were probably defending the lead, but like my point being is that I think it's all or nothing for him, isn't it? In terms of this match, if he's fit, he's starting, but it's whether or not he can last, at least something like 75 or 70 minutes. But well, yeah, we're both probably looking at how we lined up against Man United, and another casing point or discussion. Obviously, off the field, there's been many rumours about not Mark Albrighton,
I
James
don't think there's
Maddison.
been many rumours about him.
James Maddison and the reasons, why he didn't get left out of the team against Man United. Was it just because he's still returning to fitness? Was it because he's actually not been in such a good form? Or was it for more sinister reasons? Or, depends what room you want to believe. But,
What rumour do you believe, Krys?
I've seen some pretty strange ones.
What's your favourite?
Well, the one that alarmed me the most was the fact he spat at Brendan Rodgers. I don't believe that, but there may be some truth in the fact that there's a lot of consistency in rumours that there's some not so good eggs in the dressing room, and many people are drawing similarities to what happened with Ben Chilwell, who now on record has been quoted as saying that. I think I seen this today. I think it was a legit quote that when he was still at Leicester and he saw Thiago Silva linked with Chelsea, he actually came out and said that wouldn't it be great to be playing defence with him? So I'm not saying Maddison's saying exact similar quotes, but I think Jamie, if he was here, I don't think he's Maddison's biggest fan, or at least his personality's biggest fan at the moment. He believes that he may be edging for a move away. And again, it's if you believe other reports, the fact is that the club are happy to sort of get rid of Maddison if the price is right. But obviously, that's going to be a stumbling block. I don't think he's done himself many favours. He's not been doing much to sort of increase his market value at the moment. But either way, my question to you after that massive introduction is: do you think will he be starting? Will this be a
Willy?
Well, will he be starting?
Yeah,
Would
he
you
will.
start him?
Yeah, he will, mate. I'm more in the camp of I think he's been pretty crap since he come back from injury. Like for his standard, he's not. And Perez, to be fair, he's not been a worldie by any means, but at least in the last month or so, he's certainly been no worse than Maddison. And when he's come on as a sub, often he looks hungry. So I think he's just been like, Maddison, you've not been doing it. But then the other night against Man U, I thought Maddison was decent when he came on. So I don't know. I had the commentary off at that stage. So I don't know if everyone else thinks he was any good or not. But I thought he looked decent. So I fully expect him to be back in the side for the final. And he will want to as well, because he'll have the chance to be playing next to Albrighton, and you can't do that at other clubs.
Yeah, I mean, you've dropped about 6 cliches in this podcast already. People think you're doing it deliberately. You may well be doing, but it's certainly not something we've planned. But I'll give you another one. In fact, that he is that player who plays between the lines and is in that pocket. Or in the hole, if you like. There's 3 in one go, and I don't think any other player in our squad does that. I don't think there's many players in the Premier League that find that pocket as well. You put Perez in that position, and his energy, like I can't criticize Perez. He certainly after that telling off, if you like, or the whole party antics, he's certainly come in and given his all. You can't criticize him for looking lazy or anything, but it's just he hasn't really actually brought that much to the table. But nonetheless, I do agree that I probably would want to start Maddison and start our strongest team. But for me, I feel
it's
like
a good idea to put the best team out in an FA Cup final.
Well,
smart.
Well, no. What I'd hate us to do is start
A weaker team, yeah, that would be dumb.
Negatively, and like you say, try and absorb a lot of pressure. I don't know. Like I say, maybe our tactical nous isn't the greatest, but I feel like if you invite pressure, you're more likely to concede a goal.
Oh yeah.
But maybe my fight fire with fire sort of.
Oh mate, you're having a go at me for cliches. You've just I think there's been about 4 in that sentence.
Yeah, but like I say, my football managerial careers aren't as good as yours or Jamie's. I do
But
tend to
mate, you need to remember this. It's a cup final. Anyone can win.
It's
It's how you play on the day.
It's a
Form
one-off.
goes out the window.
That's true. There's been many cup upsets.
The side who is most hungry and wants to win it on the day will take home the trophy. It's that simple.
Well, I think you've exhausted all the cliches. So, I mean, we've rattled through our makeshift. That's our preview, guys. So if you're after a tactical, in-depth analysis of who's going to be, winning us the game, you probably come to the wrong podcast. But we haven't actually given our predictions yet, or how we see the game being won. So, Edward, you seem you're not that confident. Actually, you say you think it's unlikely that we will win, but. I mean, are you going to then go against yourself and just hope for a Leicester City win on Saturday with your prediction?
Well, by saying unlikely, it's like, well, really, it means there's probably like a 51% chance of us not winning. Being a draw, I don't even know. It's 3 ways, isn't it? If you want me to quantify it,
with 3-1 with the bookies.
I genuinely think it's probably about 40% Chelsea, 30% draw, 30% Leicester. I don't think there's much in it. That's about as close to fence sitting as I could get.
So back to the case in point in hand. What's the score?
It wouldn't be a good look for us, for keeping players. That if we lose to Chelsea and the players will see Kante and Chilwell getting their medals and lifting the trophy, like, oh, this is what happens when you leave Leicester. Especially after Maguire last year, at the last game of the season, got into the Champions League. Mahrez has won the league this year. It's only really Danny Drinkwater who's not making a case for staying at Leicester. Well, he's making a great case not for it, sure, but it would be good, I don't want to be nasty I put my arm around N'Golo. I'd say, don't worry, mate, you'll be back, but it'll be nice to have Chilwell watching us lift the trophy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't think we can, think anything malicious against N'Golo Kante, but Chilwell, he certainly split the fans prior to his.
I'm sure he wouldn't mind too much. He'll go out for a nice cup of tea with Maddison at in inner city London, or pay like £15 for a nice cup of tea and a chocky brownie afterwards.
15. You think footballers will be celebrating with a cup of tea?
That's what they do. It was on some weird BBC interview where they went for a cup of tea and they were talking about how they like to just go to a cafe and chat with each other.
No, that's very. I remember that the way they did used to do that. I used to see it on their Instagram pages. Actually, to be fair, but something that's been spoken about, a bit on the radio recently is that, after the Real Madrid Chelsea game, like Hazard going over and he didn't seem that bothered for losing. He was just having a good catch up with his former teammates. Would it annoy you if, obviously in this instance, if Leicester were to lose and then you do see players like Maddison and whoever else may have been close to Chilwell or Kante and sort of chatting and laughing after the game? I mean, do you think it's certainly something that, fair enough, if you're going to do that, do it behind closed doors, like say at least down in changing rooms or whatever, but is that something that you'd want to see, especially in a cup final? Like, look, you've potentially lost the game, so come on, just save that. And would it offend you to see that on your screens at full time?
I think it'd surprise more than anything. Like, other than Maddison, I couldn't imagine anyone doing it. Like, people like Schmeichel, Stoyanchu and Vardy, like, they'll just want to go to the changing room so they can put their boots and fists through the walls. They'd be seething. They'd probably headbutt each other. Like, Ndidi and Tielemans are chill. Fofana doesn't know him. And everyone else as well is just like, they'll be annoyed and chilled. Like, I don't see anyone being that sort of guy who's super pally and thinks it's all right. They've got that weird little like clique of like them and Madison and Grealish, and like as soon as they play each other, they're like hugging each other, like, oh mate, this is brilliant, and I just don't think any of our other players are really involved in that.
Well, yeah, you know, you make a good point there. It's hard to see, hard to predict if players will obviously embrace.
They're not going to embrace having lost if they win. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
if you're worried about this, just say, lads, win. Simple.
Well, it will equally be interesting to see if obviously Chilwell. There
is no way Chilwell would come and hug everyone and be buzzing and have a massive smile if he lost. Weirdly, I think Kante would. I think he wouldn't. He doesn't really care. He's like one.
Yeah, but his sort of style, it's like he's just a friendly. He generally is a friendly guy, like you.
Friendly ghost. Oh, that's Casper.
That is Casper. Yes, it's not even similar, to be fair. But so you still to give me a prediction. I mean, you've dragged it out well enough.
It's going to be a draw after 90 minutes. I see a 1-1.
Whoa. Okay.
And I don't think it will go to penalties. I think there'll be a winner in extra time. And just so I feel good, I'm going to say Leicester will score it. And it will be Soyuncu with another sexy head thronker.
That would be, it's better than headbutting Casper Schmeichel.
Yeah.
In the
keeper will try and save it, but it will be that hard, the keeper will fly into the back of the net.
I mean, I can picture it sort of cartoon-esque, leaving like a body-shaped silhouette in the back of the net. But, okay, so you're saying 2-1, Soyuncu in extra time. That is tense viewing for all those Leicester City fans out there. Well, good final potential.
It's gutting as well because we're 1-0 up going into the last 10 minutes. So
that
emotional roller coaster.
On the ropes.
Tough for you as well because it will be Giroud who gets the equaliser. You won't know how you feel. You'll do a knee slide, but your heart will be breaking at the same time.
Oh, I don't know if I'll be doing a knee slide. I think that would be pure heartbreaking. Almost. Yeah, betrayal from Giroud for all the kindness I've said about him, but hopefully that doesn't happen. My prediction, I was like edging towards an extra time scenario myself, but I think maybe through nerves or not wanting that many nerves, I see it getting completed in normal time with the same scoreline as what you said after extra time. But I think 2-1 Leicester. In normal time. I think I'm going to go a bit even more rogue, and I see us going 2-0 up, which is something that obviously I said that we should have done against Man United, and I said it will struggle to do against Chelsea, but I just think that it will be one of those days that if we are to win, everything does have to fall into place, and a goal in each half, and then Chelsea, they'll get one back late on. Let's put it in the 80th minutes or something, and it'll be a tense last 10 minutes or so, but I'll go 2-1, and I think just to make sure everything goes right, it's going to be a Vardy brace as well. He's not scored in so long, and he'll get 2. So yeah, we're not going to sit here and predict unless City defeat. I think I'm going to stay positive, and it'd be wonderful if we won the FA Cup. All those times we've argued about cups not being important and finishing in the top 4. I think that'll please us all.
Well, we can have a nice debate if we win the FA Cup and then don't come in the top 4.
Well, I've admitted on air that that's not great. But there's no reason that we can't do both. That's the thing. We're not it's not a situation where it is one or the other. Like, we are in control of. Well, certainly in finishing the top 4, and obviously this is just down to one exclusive match. But
90 minutes of football.
Well, not in your book. You're
and a bit more.
120, but
still a game of 4 halves.
Well, yeah. So, but no, 2-1 for both of us. You're thinking extra time, which would be tense going into that Saturday evening. Jamie probably predicts something. I feel Jamie would have said something like.
Jamie would have said.
I think he's
Barnes' first goal scorer.
Yeah, definitely from the stands. Yeah, I think he's got extra time written all over him. To be fair, Jamie has, and then I think Austin. Whilst not many of you may have forgotten, Austin does still. We hopefully will be appearing on a podcast sometime soon. He's got work commitments, and obviously the time difference makes it a bit difficult. But I think Austin, I reckon he'll be well confident. He'll say something like 3-0 Leicester. So
I don't know, because he might. He's probably a big Pulisic fan, so he's probably like, but I won't do it. I was gonna try and do an impression, and I
not
thought,
sure where that was going.
yeah, it's not gonna sound even
Actually,
remotely. But yeah, so maybe it's like Pulisic will score, but
well,
who
Pulisic
knows?
is the players shown a bit of form, and yeah, like I said, these guys that can break fast. Will break fast, but no, hopefully, players like Fofana and even Sionchu recently, they have had momentary lapses in concentration, but then they've all equally shown fantastic, defensive capabilities like that Fofana tackle on Rashford, for example. You got Rashford steaming at you at full pace, and to show that sort of composure, what he's going to sort of have to do for the full 90 or 120 minutes, really, because I do feel it will be a bit of a game where I do think chances will be a premium, to be fair. But
If we got to a penalty shootout
yes,
and Soyuncu was lining one up,
I'd be
would you
worried.
be confident?
I'd be confident he's going to put everything behind it. I don't know if it's going to be on target, but
Would you back
obviously
Soyuncu or Schmeichel first?
it's got to be Sionchi. You can't be having a goalkeeper. Uh, no. Well, another cliche is, the lads will definitely be on the training ground practicing their spot kicks this weekend. I mean, well, not the weekend, a bit late, probably today, maybe.
Get it done before then.
Yeah, maybe the whole warm up at Wembley will just be penalties, like primary school-esque training. But I don't know. No, I think it's going to be an interesting one. It's exciting, nonetheless. It's an FA Cup final. Normally, yeah, fair enough. It's the FA Cup final, and I'll definitely watch it. But I don't really
Are you going to
partake.
watch it this year?
Yeah, I've got a choice. Do I want to watch it on BBC and be a traditionalist? Do you watch it on BT Sport? And I'm not really sure what you gain from it, to be fair, watching it on BT Sport. Presumably, Gary Lineker. Actually, no, does he? Because he works for both. Presumably, be on BBC. It's a little debates like this. I'll probably watch wherever Gary Lineker's presenting, which I presume is the BBC. Well, I know for a fact it will be, because I think they did a little bit of recording with Jermaine Genius in the week. So I presume that's for the little preview bits. But no, I think, like I say, the point I'm trying to make is that it's a whole day. It's a shame it's not a 3 p.m. like traditionally it used to be. But yeah, you'll wake up in the morning, you'll be excited. And yeah, unfortunately, obviously, me and you aren't season ticket holders, but I think it's worth obviously just compliments to the club. Obviously, nice little gesture from the chairman and whoever's else is in control of decision. A little package sent out to all season ticket holders, which is nice. And again, in a time where a lot's been made of like the bad running of football clubs, I think one thing we probably can agree on is we've probably got the best owners in at least the Premier League. I'm sure there's good owners further down the football pyramid, but we're in capable hands. So yeah, that's thank you. I wish I had my face paint, but
So, Addy,
well, you still remember that Jamie Vardy video? That's good.
I don't even know. What does that mean? Is it high low?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so Addy. But yeah, needless to say, I'll chip in now because I think that was enough from you. I can't remember last time I said something.
So Addy.
Yeah, so Addy. Yeah, nice touch. Jamie's going to the game. I hope anyone else who's going to the game has a good day. Jamie did actually say he's going to sell a ticket. So if you want a ticket, tweet at Thorpie, spelled THORPIE 54
I mean, how else would you spell Thorpey?
with a
FORI.
Y. With a Y, mate.
Would you? I don't know.
But yeah, ask him if he's selling his ticket still, and he'll get back to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a different one this year, isn't it? I'm not sure how the whole testing and whatnot. Well, how it's fair play. It's good that they've fans are there. Though obviously that's
Oh well, if they need to know who you are, just those over the age of about 40 contact him, because anyone under you won't get. Yeah, you won't get through as Jamie.
Well, yeah, he's had both. He's obviously had both his vaccines now. He's a over 50-year-old, so.
But yeah, random thought going back to Leicester. I got the team sheet up from the other day, and it's obviously got the goals next to the goal scorers. How nice was Luke Thomas's goal?
Yeah, it was very nice actually. It's the cushioned finish on the instep. It's a volley as well from a player who'd probably be one of the least favourites to score in terms of goal scorer markets before the game. Like, I don't know, like it's not something you practice. I mean, he's a professional footballer and he's done very well to score. But I mean, I think another cliche is you try that 100 times and 99 times out of 100 it doesn't go in, especially not as sweetly as that. So fair play.
Right in the top bins.
Yeah, it was. It was. You can't criticise anything about it. And he was delighted. Let a little yelp
See,
if you were
he
listening.
hit it well, and what he did, he took the lead out of his boots from that nice finish and gave them to Schmeichel. Because obviously he couldn't move for the Man U goal.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was a bit of criticism in there, weren't there? Like, that why was he going with his feet? Could he use his hands and stuff? But I'm not one to judge.
You shouldn't use your feet when you're a
Yeah.
goalkeeper.
I mean, it does. I get these flashbacks from my
That's a personal inside joke, by the way.
five-a-side days at uni. That I did want to get criticised for using my feet in goal. But if it keeps the ball out of the net, I don't see how you can be criticised. But in this instance, Casper, use your hands, maybe. But I think you're a better keeper than me.
Probably.
But yeah, on that note, that's our preview. Not sure how much we've previewed really. I think we just sort of.
No, what we've done, we did good against Man U to get 3 points. FA Cup should be decent. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, let's hope it's decent. And I would like to think we'd come back with some form of review podcast, even if it is just me and Ed again, the hardcore.
Well, this time next week, we could be jubilant or depressed.
Yes. I mean, I'm not sure it will affect my mood that much, especially not in a depressed way.
Oh, mate, I know you. If we lose both these games and all the teams around us win all of theirs, you are not going to be a happy chappy. We're going to have the Mose and Moan features coming back, and it's just going to be an hour of you.
Well, actually, yeah, this is a good point. Maybe, yeah, yes, this is a better question, actually. Not which would you rather, the FA Cup or Champions League, but which would you be? Well, I guess the answer is probably the same, actually. But what would you be more hurt by? Like losing the cup final obviously comes with quite severe. You'd be quite annoyed because you had 90 minutes to win a game, but I think you'd probably still say you'd be more annoyed about not coming in the top 4, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Right. FA Cup's just like, nice little cherry on the cake, that. But I don't like cherries. I prefer brownies. And the Premier League's the brownie. And I'd be more disappointed. I don't know. We've set the whole season up going towards this in the Premier League, and we've got it in our hands. And if we piss this away now, I'll be a lot more annoyed than if we lose one game that is against a decent side.
As long as we don't do it in spectacular Watford style.
No, I think you look back on the season, like, say we get top 4 and lose in the final, you say, and we do decent in Europe, we could have done and should have done much better, but we didn't embarrass ourselves. It's one of the best seasons in Leicester City history. But then, I don't know, what would you say if we win the FA Cup and finish outside the top 4? Is the season as big of a success?
Well, I think in reality, I think there are just maybe more severe sort of repercussions of not coming in the top 4. I mean, for the club, in the climate. I mean, it's what is Champions League qualifications worth, like, millions of pounds, like, potentially. Financially that's big, but also from a player point of view, I think that there is a risk of one thing attracting players. I think there's probably a few deals that are on the line with agents, like, if you get Champions League, our player will speak to you, or not, but also about keeping your best talent. I don't see people like Ndidi being disruptive or maybe edging for a move away. But again, that's just judging someone because they seem like a nice guy. To be fair, he might have the biggest bell end of an agent who's already angling for a move away. My point being is that if we don't get Champions League football, I think it'll be harder to keep players and it'll be harder to attract maybe the calibre we want to go for. Whereas obviously, winning the FA Cup, that's not enough to keep players at the club. But, I'm still confident that we're certainly in the driving seat for the top four, and the FA Cup is, I'm a lot more confident going into it than I would be against Man City. But, we'll see. But on that note, that's been it from myself and Edward. That's it. That's it. That is it. That's how we'll describe this podcast. But fingers crossed for Leicester. Now let's hope the Foxes bring home the silverware for a second time. In only a few years, we could be having our hands on a trophy. So let's hope so. And let's hope we're back next week celebrating, one or two potentially wins, depending on when we record.
Or none.
Podcast. That's Ed's input. I'm fingers crossed for 2 wins. So anyway, enjoy.